Your doctor has never once measured the frequency your hormones are running on. Not because they don't care about you, because most of them don't know it exists. What I'm about to show you, a specific breathing frequency that resets your entire endocrine system, has been validated in peer-reviewed research for over 2 decades. And somehow, it never made it onto a prescription pad. This is all you need to understand it. And by the end of this video, you will never breathe the same way again. But first, I designed a specific breathing session inside this video to reset your endocrine system. And I need you to be part of what comes next. After you feel what these frequencies do to your body, and you will feel it, I want you to drop one single word in the comments, the first word that describes how your body feels. Because I'm building the next session around what this community tells me it needs. You are the experiment. You are the Wellness Waves community. Are you in? My name is Dr. Elias Site, and this channel exists because of something I cannot let go of. Health is not a destination. It's a rhythm you learn to ride. We don't just treat symptoms. We don't chase labs and call it resolved. We decode your biological waves, the oscillating electrical patterns inside your cells, your nerves, your blood, and we use science to turn back the clock from the inside out. Now, why should you trust me on this specific topic? Rhythmic breathing for hormone balance, cortisol reset, endocrine restoration. Because I spent 11 years working in integrative endocrinology before this channel existed. I have sat across from thousands of patients, exhausted people, hormonally wrecked people, people who had done everything their doctors told them, and watched them transform using the exact science I'm going to give you today. What you're going to learn is not New Age theory. It is hard physics, neuroscience, and endocrinology that most practitioners are only now beginning to catch up with. It just sounds like music. Let's start where this story actually begins, not in the lab, but in your body, right now. Because something is already disrupted, and most people have been told to simply live with it. Here's something endocrinologists have known for decades, but almost nobody teaches. Your endocrine system does not run on chemistry alone. Yes, hormones aren't chemical messengers. That part's textbook. But what decides when to release them, how much, and which cells they actually reach? That is governed by something far more subtle: bioelectric oscillations. Your body runs on rhythmic electrical pulses, waves of charged ions crossing membranes, cascading through tissue, creating timing patterns that your cells recognize the way you recognize a familiar voice. The hypothalamus, the master conductor of your entire hormone orchestra, fires in cycles. The pituitary responds in cycles. The adrenal glands, the thyroid, the pancreas, all of them are tuned to timing, to frequency. Think of it this way. If I hold this near a guitar string, tuned to the same note, that string begins to vibrate. Not because I touched it, because the frequency matched. That is your endocrine system on a healthy day. Every gland vibrating in sympathetic resonance with the next. Hormones arriving on time in the right amounts to the right receptors. That is what health actually feels like. Now, I want you to stay with me here, because this next part matters. Cortisol, your primary stress hormone, is supposed to peak once per day, around 6 a.m. One clean spike to wake you up, then a long, slow, graceful descent through the rest of the day. Instead, in 2026, we're triggering 3, 4, 5 cortisol spikes every single day. Every notification, every alarming headline, every 11 p.m. doom scroll under LED light that your pineal gland reads as midday sun. Thyroid getting garbled signals from a hypothalamus that never gets to rest. Insulin being released into a bloodstream already flooded with stress hormones. Ovaries and testes receiving reproductive timing signals that are hours off because your light environment has been lying to your biology since before sunrise. Melatonin suppressed, growth hormone strangled, DHEA declining at twice the historical rate. This is not dysfunction. Not yet. This is noise. Your hormonal system has become a concert hall where someone left a jackhammer running in the corner. The musicians are still there. They're still trying to play, but nobody can hear the score anymore. And here is what nobody told you. The solution is also a frequency. Stop for 1 second. Right here. You now understand something most people spend years confused about. Your hormones are not just chemical. They are electrical. They are rhythmic. They run on timing. And that timing has been corrupted by how we live. Hold that, because what comes next is the physics of how we fix it. I want you to understand one word that is going to change how you think about your body for the rest of your life. Entrainment. In 1665, a Dutch physicist mounted two pendulum clocks on the same wooden wall. They were out of sync. He came back the next morning. Both clocks were swinging in perfect unison. He had not touched either of them. The vibrations traveling through the shared wall had pulled them into phase. He called it entrainment. Your body does this every single day, and your breathing is the most powerful external oscillator you have access to. Right now, for free with no device required. Here's how it works. When you inhale slowly and rhythmically with intentional pressure and timing, you create a mechanical wave of air pressure that travels into the lungs and physically vibrates the vagal trunk, the vagus nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, which is the primary superhighway of your parasympathetic nervous system, running from your brainstem down through your heart, lungs, gut, and directly to your adrenal glands. That mechanical pressure acts as a tuning fork, and the frequency that produces the most profound hormonal entrainment is 0.1 Hz, 1/10 of one oscillation per second, which in breathing terms is approximately 6 breaths per minute. The 0.1 Hz frequency has been validated across multiple independent research institutions as the resonant frequency of the cardiovascular system. When your breathing aligns with it, something remarkable happens. Your heart rate variability enters what cardiologists call coherence. And coherence is not just a heart phenomenon. When the heart enters coherence, it generates a rhythmic electromagnetic field that propagates through the thoracic cavity. The hypothalamus, sensitive to both chemical and electrical signals, begins to entrain to it. The pituitary follows. Suddenly, your entire hormonal cascade, cortisol, DHEA, thyroid stimulating hormone, growth hormone, are operating from one synchronized signal instead of a dozen competing noise sources. That is not a metaphor for feeling better. That is measurable physiology. A peer-reviewed study using real-time HRV monitoring and saliva cortisol testing showed that 6 minutes of 0.1 Hz paced breathing reduced acute cortisol response by approximately 27% compared to uncontrolled breathing under identical stress conditions.
6 minutes, not 6 weeks of supplements, not 6 months of therapy, 6 minutes of the right frequency. You now know what 0.1 Hz is, why it matters, and what it does to your stress hormone cascade. That is more than most practitioners understand about breath work. Now let me show you exactly how to apply it, starting with the hormone that is silently ruining the quality of millions of lives in 2026. Cortisol does not make announcements, it just quietly dismantles you. And the cruelest part is that it disguises itself as personality, as aging, as just who you are now. Cortisol dysregulation looks like waking at 3 a.m. with a mind you cannot turn off, gaining abdominal weight without changing anything you eat, feeling simultaneously exhausted and too wired to sleep, craving salt and sugar with an urgency that feels almost animal, short fuse, brain fog, forgetting words that were in your mouth a second ago. How many of those did you just recognize in yourself? I want to say something that I need you to actually hear. You are not falling apart. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are running a biological frequency that was never designed to sustain what modern life asks of you. And that is not a character flaw. That is physics. Here is what is happening in your body if any of those symptoms just resonated. Repeated cortisol spikes, especially in the evening, when cortisol is biologically supposed to be at its lowest, create what researchers call adrenal electrical hyperactivity. Your adrenal glands are locked into a high-frequency stress signal. They cannot down-regulate because the nervous system has never been given the off switch. The off switch is vagal activation, and the most precise vagal activation protocol we have is the 478 frequency pattern. But I'm not just going to explain it to you, I'm going to do it with you right now. Find a position where your spine is upright, not rigid, just supported. Hands open in your lap, jaw unclenched. Let your eyes close if it feels right. Inhale through your nose, smooth, steady for 4 counts. Hold, 7 counts. Don't force it, just hold. Now exhale, long, almost like a sigh, for 8 counts, through the mouth, everything out. Once more, inhale, 4, hold, 7, exhale, 8. What you just felt, that warmth behind the eyes, that slight drop in the weight of your shoulders, that is your adrenal system responding to a frequency signal. not a placebo, not relaxation in the general sense, a measurable downregulation of adrenal electrical hyperactivity, cortisol clearance beginning, vagus nerve firing, parasympathetic shift initiated, 3 to 5 cycles, twice per day, 7 days. Then tell me you don't sleep differently. Save this video. The full protocol is coming up in a few minutes and you'll want it. You now have the tool that targets cortisol directly. You know the mechanism. You felt it working. Now I want to show you something that most breathwork teachers don't even know is happening. What this same frequency does to your metabolism, your thyroid, and your cellular energy production. Most people think metabolism is about calories, about willpower, about genetics they inherited and cannot change. It is none of those things. Your metabolic rate is, at its core, a frequency conversation between 3 systems: your thyroid, your mitochondria, and your diaphragm. Let me explain that last one. Your diaphragm is not just a breathing muscle. It is the largest rhythmic mechanical pump in your body. Every contraction creates an intra-abdominal pressure wave that rises through the thorax, stimulates the vagal trunk, and simultaneously sends a compression signal that your liver, pancreas, and thyroid signaling pathways can detect. When that pump is shallow, the way most of us breathe under chronic stress, tight and high in the chest, the rhythmic signal to those organs is weak, inconsistent, like a broken cell connection. The thyroid receives garbled TSH timing cues. The pancreas loses clean insulin release rhythm. Mitochondria reduce output. You are not tired because something is fundamentally wrong with you. You are tired because your metabolic frequency is degraded. Deep diaphragmatic breathing at 6 breaths per minute, what researchers in metabolic endocrinology are beginning to call rhythmic oxygenation therapy, addresses this directly at the cellular level. When you breathe diaphragmatically, you increase tidal volume, the air actually reaching the alveoli, which drives blood oxygen saturation in a way shallow breathing simply cannot. And oxygen is not just fuel, it is a signal. Elevated oxygenation directly stimulates thyroid peroxidase activity, the enzyme converting inactive T4 into active T3 your cells actually use for energy production. In plain language, 6 breaths per minute activates your thyroid. But it goes even further. High-definition sonographic studies have shown that rhythmic diaphragmatic movement at 0.1 Hz create measurable oscillations in blood flow through the portal vein, the vessel carrying nutrient-rich blood from the gut to the liver. These oscillations appear to synchronize insulin-glucose exchange at the hepatic level. Your liver becomes measurably better at regulating blood sugar. And for long-term cellular energy, sustained rhythmic oxygenation has been linked to enhanced mitochondrial genesis, the actual creation of new mitochondria in peer-reviewed papers from 2023 and 2024. You are building new energy infrastructure inside your cells with your breath. Every single breath is a metabolic signal. The question is only, what have you been signaling? I want you to stop for a moment and picture yourself, not today, but 21 days from now. You've been practicing 6 breaths per minute for 6 minutes every morning. You've run the 4-7-8 protocol every evening. What does sleep look like? What does 3 p.m. feel like? What does your face look like in the mirror without the cortisol inflammation, the thyroid drag, the metabolic static that has become so familiar you stop noticing it? That person is not a fantasy. That person is your biology operating at its designed frequency, and you can begin becoming them today. Here is your complete 7-day frequency reset protocol. Write this down or save this video right now. This is the moment you'll want to return to. Days 1 and 2, foundation. Morning, 6 minutes at 6 breaths per minute. 4-count inhale, 4-count exhale. No holds yet. Evening, 3 cycles of 4-7-8. The only goal is to establish the rhythm without pressure or performance. Days 3 and 4, calibration. Add the hold. Full 4-7-8 pattern, 5 cycles, morning and evening. Begin noticing where you feel the shift. Behind the eyes, in the chest, in the gut. Days 5 through 7, integration. Add 10 minutes of free diaphragmatic breathing, belly-led, unrestricted, no timing required, once per day at any time. Let the rhythm find itself. This is when the thyroid and metabolic systems begin catching the signal. That is the blueprint. 7 days, 2 sessions per day, built on the same physics that governs every oscillating system in the known universe. You now have the complete metabolic reset protocol.
You understand why it works at a cellular level. Before I show you how to amplify this with the technology available in 2026, I want to tell you something about where all of this leads. Because the future self I just asked you to picture, the bridge to that person is shorter than you think. We are at an extraordinary moment in 2026, and most people are using the technology available to them completely backwards. They are buying wearables to track their stress, to confirm the cortisol spike exists, to document how broken they feel. But very few people are using the emerging generation of haptic and spatial audio tools to actually treat dysregulation in real time, to send a countervailing frequency signal directly back into the body. Let me show you what is available right now and how to actually use it. The latest haptic wearables, those using real-time HRV biofeedback, can detect your coherence state and provide rhythmic vibratory cues on your wrist or sternum that guide your breathing into the 0.1 Hz resonant zone without any conscious counting. You don't think about the rhythm, you feel it. Your nervous system learns to entrain to the haptic pulse the same way you entrained to your mother's heartbeat in the womb. This is not science fiction. This is on the market today. But even without hardware, you have an extraordinary tool that costs nothing: spatial audio. Ambient frequency tracks engineered around the Schumann resonance, the Earth's own electromagnetic oscillation, at approximately 7.83 Hz, when played through quality headphones during breathwork or rest, have demonstrated measurable reductions in cortisol response and improvements in sleep architecture across multiple controlled studies. When you layer your 0.1 Hz breathing with spatial ambient audio, you build what I call a resonant environment, a context your nervous system comes to associate with safety, recovery, and cellular restoration, not because you've told it to, because the frequency has. Here is how to integrate all of this into a daily architecture. Morning resonance session. Within 30 minutes of waking, 6 minutes of 0.1 Hz breathing with spatial ambient audio. No phone, no news, no input of any kind. Just 6 minutes of calibrating your frequency before the world introduces its noise. This single practice, done consistently, is the highest leverage intervention I know of for restoring healthy cortisol rhythm. Evening downregulation session. 90 minutes before sleep, 5 cycles of 4, 7, 8 paired with ambient audio. If you have haptic wearables, this is the time to use them. Let the device guide you. Dim your environment to amber spectrum light. This is not a wellness ritual. It is a biological signal. The day's threat frequency is over. Recovery mode begins now. Weekly deep practice. Once per week. 20 minutes of free diaphragmatic breathing. No timer, no targets, belly fully expanding on the inhale, slow, sustained exhale. Just listening, just riding the rhythm. This is your protocol, ancient in its mechanism, current in its application. Because here is something the wellness industry does not say enough. You are not trying to impose health on a body that is resisting it. You are restoring the frequency your body has been trying to find its way back to the entire time. The people in this community, the ones who practice this, who show up to these sessions, who drop that one word in the comments and come back for the next video, I've started calling them frequency practitioners. Not patients, not followers, practitioners, because this is a practice and you earn it by doing it. You are not separate from nature's frequencies. You were built from them. I want to say one more thing before we go. You have been told, probably more times than you can count, that feeling exhausted, hormonally out of sync, foggy, inflamed, anxious, or just dull, that this is just modern life, that this is aging, that this is genetic, that it requires a prescription to manage and a lifetime of managing. Some of that is true.
Some people do need medical support. Please work with your physician, but I need you to hear this clearly. A vast percentage of what passes for normal suffering in 2026 is not a disease state. It is a frequency problem. Your body has not broken down. It has been drowned in noise so consistently for so long that it has forgotten its own rhythm. And all you have to do to begin is breathe at the right frequency. 6 breaths per minute, 2 sessions per day, 7 days. Right now, I need that one word in the comments. After everything you've heard and felt in this video, what word describes your body? Lighter, aware, hopeful, skeptical, overwhelmed, curious? Drop it below, because the next session I build on frequency patterns for progesterone restoration, deep sleep architecture, and insulin coherence. I'm building it around what this community tells me it needs. Subscribe to VitaWave right now, because what's coming next in this series goes deeper than anything I've put on this channel. And then, I want to leave you with one question. I don't want you to answer it today. I want you to sit with it for 24 hours. If your symptoms are a frequency problem, what has your body been trying to tell you, and how long have you been too loud to hear it? This is Dr. Elias Site. Take care of your rhythm. I'll see you in the next wave.